Ask Reddit. What was the worst change in a person you saw at your high school reunion? Part 2. Worst change I ever saw was no change at all. This is why I'll be avoiding reunions. That stuff's coming up way too soon. I haven't been out of high school long enough to have a reunion yet. Our class was very small, about 75 people. Deep south, so everybody knew one another. One of my good friends got married a few weeks ago, and a huge portion of our class was invited because of the tight-knit community. Half of them looked horrible. Meth is a very real and very serious problem in the South, and not a lot of people talk about it. Some of them I would never imagine doing that. It was a real growing up moment. Man, it really doesn't matter how hot you were in high school. If you don't care of yourself, your looks will go down the drain. One of the take-homes from this entire thread is really doesn't matter how hot you were in high school, period. Well, the former captain of the football team, who back then looked like he could lift a car with one hand, became a quadriplegic due to a stroke, so I would say he didn't fare too well. What really sucks is, he used to be so nice and funny. Dude didn't have an inside voice at all, but he was awesome. But now he's severely depressed and barely talks above a mumble. Sad to see that happen to someone like him. A girl I graduated with was a bully in high school. She became an even bigger bully post-college. Our respective husbands graduated the same year, so we ran into each other at their reunion. She made eye contact with me, so I, being a mature and forgiving 28-year-old, waved hello. She flipped me off and rolled her eyes at me for the rest of the night. Her husband cheated and left her a few months later. I didn't feel too bad overall. Suck it, Jen. Rude. What is her deal? Not sure. She wasn't the most popular girl in school. Kind of cookie cutter, but in one of those disappointing raisin instead of chocolate chip kind of ways. Somehow, despite that, she was a major bully. The coordinator, if that's what you want to call her, threw together this janky whatever the hell you want to call it, but she claimed it was the reunion. The fee was $100. Now, why in the hell would I pay $100 to spend a weekend doing stuff in the city I can do on my own for cheap with a bunch of people I really don't like? Then she had the nerve to call out on Facebook, I was one of them, the people who didn't want to participate. I quickly learned a lot from my former classmates who were still the same jackasses they were in high school. Not all, but the majority. The only good thing that came out of this was I reunited with an old friend who apparently had a crush on me since middle school. He's now my hubs. She looked like a cross between a Stepford wife and a Barbie. Perfect makeup, blonde blowout, pink mani-pedi, the works. 6-inch heels and minding 2 kids under 2 while her husband, who none of us knew, partied across the room and didn't lift a finger. No career, no friends, no hobbies other than TV and parenting. No social media. Email? Oh, I guess I have an email address. I never use it though. I don't know how to describe how eerie it was. She was always a quiet person, but it was like all the personality had been sucked out of her. I really hope she's happy. I know some people enjoy the stay-at-home trophy wife thing, but this was next level. The allegedly prettiest girl in my high school class. I never thought she was conventionally, or even unconventionally pretty for that matter, but she had a collection of independently pretty features. Has never had any social media that I've ever seen in the 10 years since high school. I assume something like this is what happened to her. We didn't have a 15-year reunion because our class gave it all to a classmate who was fighting stage 4 cancer. In reality, she was scamming everyone and raised $40,000 on a GoFundMe. They are trying to get her committed as a plea deal. I'm almost positive someone I graduated with will see this, so hey, what's up? A sweet, very nice guy I liked in high school became my creepy stalker for about a year following a reunion. It got ugly. How did the matter come to an end? We moved pretty far away. I changed my number and deleted my Facebook account. Nothing terribly dramatic, really. We were planning to relocate anyway. It's frustrating how little help you can get. RO didn't work, involving police didn't help, blocking on phone and social media didn't help, leaving did. I was lucky. My cousin was bullied mercilessly in high school. At her tenure, a guy who loudly called her Fat Cow instead of her name became so drunk and obnoxious that cops were called. He had warrants, and she got to watch him get hauled to jail. Sweet justice. Honestly, I was always afraid it was going to be me because I gained so much weight after high school. My solution to that? I've never been to a reunion. Next year is my 20th reunion, and I'm doing keto and trying to lose weight. I'm down 17.2 pounds so far, 1 month in. I would really love to show up at the 20th reunion looking better than I have looked before. I know the feeling. I have old friends from way back that I've avoided because I've blown up so much. I'm doing intermittent fasting and a more plant-based diet, and have had lots of success, but still have a ways to go. Sometimes I feel so silly for being shallow or vain. Honestly, it was me. High school me was very animated, social, and skinny. 15 years later, me was very withdrawn, sad, and obese. It's so strange. I never fantasized that I'd be the guy that people talked about having really gone downhill. I was always such a great student. I was active, I volunteered for things, I made art, a real type A person, someone you'd want to be around. But I was the one people whispered about, and it really hurt. You'd think if someone was going through major depression, they would know, right? I didn't. Without drawing this out, the good news is that I'm doing really great now. I'm skinny again, I'm social, I'm out there doing stuff, and I think I can count myself as someone people want to be around. It's kind of scary, having a personality, but exciting scary. Hopefully at the 20-year reunion, the whispers will be different. Take some serious balls to have that kind of introspection and then actually do something to fix it. You have my respect. Sounds like all your problems are in order now. My best friend from high school became a cop and is now a total douche. On the opposite side, almost more awful to me, there was a girl who was fairly cute, but I thought was the typical dingy cheerleader, and she always tried to be friendly to me. But since I was an edgier teenager, I thought I was too cool and always shrugged her off. Cut to a decade later at our reunion. She and I got to talking and really hit it off. Great conversation. She got very attractive as she got older. We could have had something cool, though I doubt her husband would be too thrilled and her 2 kids would just be confused. Basically, don't let cliques determine who you were friends with as a teenager. I graduated in 73, so this was in 78. Worst change. The valedictorian was living with her boyfriend and a kid in a converted shipping crate. Biggest change. One of the biggest jocks and girl magnets in the school showed up out of the closet with huge biceps and working as a dancer at a male strip joint. Best change. The guy that were nerds like me all showed up with joints, and we all got stoned outside together. The shipping crate homes are actually common and really efficient. When I lived in Asia, 3 years before coming to the States, we lived in one of those, and in terms of shipping container homes, the interior is clever. It consists of 3 other shipping crates that have been cut at certain place to meet with a specific corner of another section of a separate shipping crate. The one I lived in was made 4 separate long containers cut and welded together. Small rural town, about 100 people in graduating class. Valedictorian as a house mom making bootleg Drake t-shirts. Captain of the football team was extremely overweight and was using a cane to walk around, stumbling drunk before he showed up. All in all though, we all were able to relate as we had grown. Each had a good dose of adulting, and were mostly all able to have a really good time. Well, at least it was until it came time to pay the bar tab, and myself and another old buddy ended up paying almost $1,000 because everyone else failed to bring money. Whatever, I'll do it all again in 2 years. Class of 2000. One of my hometown friends who went to my mosque is now a pedophile at age 23. Police busted him for molesting a girl and having pornographic pictures of her. He's spending the next 3 decades in prison. A guy from my high school is doing life for murder at 24. Brutal murder, too. He and another guy from the country murdered a middle-aged black woman, IRC, and beat up the body pretty badly. In school, he was one of the Pokemon-obsessed white kids with divorced lower-middle-income parents and constantly drank Mountain Dew and quoted Will Ferrell films. You seriously never know with people. At my 10-year reunion, no one had changed at all. Everyone was still the same. It's why I'm not going to my 20-year reunion this year, because I never liked any of those people anyway. That was kinda true for me too. Two kinds of people showed up at the 10-year. Student council and the nerds. I was one of the nerds, so hung out with them. I had a good time, but the crazy student council people were all over this guy who had been on American Idol the previous year. He was the life of the party. Meh, kinda irritated me, since in high school he was stuck up and pissed off a lot of people. I didn't bother either in my 20-year. Me. Was happy, attractive, innocent, loved my upcoming job, physically very active, passionate. 8 years later, I'm sad on average, inactive, have a heart condition, less attractive, jobless, balding, and keep losing girlfriends. There's a positive though. I'm a well-educated person today. I just got invited to our 6th year reunion. Who has a 6th year reunion? But I declined. Facebook really took care of that wondering of what happened. Most people I went to high school with have kids. They're selling some pyramid scheme product. Others just gave up and stayed in my hometown to do who knows what. The worst part is that half of my class stayed in my hometown, and most were the popular kids. They just seemed to peak in high school, and they didn't know what to do. One guy in particular, let's call him Alex, went downhill 2 years out of school. He was a track all-star, best in baseball and football. Then he got domestic abuse charges and DWI. The local paper quoted the judge saying that he was the most spoiled person to walk in his courtroom. So yeah, I think I'm good. The only people who have RSVP'd are those who stayed in that town, and I don't really want to be part of that circle jerk. My school had a 6-year reunion because no one bothered to organize it in 2015, and someone realized that unless they took the initiative, it was never going to happen. It's technically whoever was voted into student government that organizes it, but all of them left this stupid town behind. This sounds exactly like what the reunion turned out to be. I didn't go, but looked at the pictures. It was everyone who never left. I highly doubt a 10-year reunion will happen.